Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started on time. We're expecting 3 more folks. I'm going to introduce myself and the team. My name is Kathy Zellers. I'm the Director at Instructional Design and Development. I'll be presenting Gradebook Management today. We're joined by Indra, who is our LMS support technician. We're going to be recording this session. We're only recording the speaker and the screen, so no worries about having your name show up in a recording. Okay, our agenda for managing your gradebook today is how to navigate and organize your gradebook so that you can get around in it and make the best use of some of the features. We're going to focus primarily on understanding the gradebook policies. We have policies for late and missing assignments, and we also have grade posting policies that will allow you to post the grades at a certain time to have more control over posting your grades. I'm also going to show you the student view of grades so that you can see what your students see. And then at the very end, I just want to show you where the learning analytics in Canvas can be found. So there is a lot going on in Gradebook from a management perspective. I'm going to encourage you to spend some time in here looking around at all of the different areas, because we're not going to go over every precise area, but I'll draw attention to the things that are on the agenda. And then a couple of quick things I got a request before the session started, so I'll show you those as well. Overall, the view of your gradebook, which is where you actually do the management. If you come to previous or view previous sessions about building the gradebook, you don't actually build the gradebook here. This view you're looking at is your gradebook grid. When you click on grades, this is what you see. You build the gradebook by building your assignments. And you also won't really do grading here. You can assign grades here, but your grading is done primarily either offline or using SpeedGrader. So what you do here is really manage the gradebook, really work with the different aspects of your gradebook and your grades. So the first thing that you see in your grid to the left is your list of students. In your view, you'll see a lot more information than what I'm showing you here. You will also have some secondary information, and you'll be able to do some different views and sorting. The next part in the grid from left to right, you have your individual assignment columns. And so each one of your assignments gets a column. As soon as you make an assignment graded, then you get the column for that assignment. You do get unpublished columns. So in your default view, anything that you haven't published, any assignment that you haven't published will be unpublished, and you'll see that. You'll be able to turn that off if you don't want to see that, and I'll show you that. Next, you have assignment group columns. When you create groups on your assignments page, then you're also creating a column for that group so that you can track the students' progress on each group. This is also set up so that you can weight those groups. So in your syllabus, for example, if you divide out the work that students are doing into class into these divisions, into homework, exams, discussions, essays, if you divide them into groups and tell your students that, for example, a project would be worth 50% of the grade, this is where you set up that weighting scheme. And this is where it's reflected in the gradebook. So I'll show you a little bit more about that as we go. And then next to the groups column, you have the totals column. And so your cumulative student grade shows up there. It's cumulative as you go. That's where you would find it, along with the letter grade. The next thing, across the top of your gradebook view, you have breadcrumbs. This will allow you to move back to the course from your gradebook. And you also have this little menu right here, these 3 horizontal lines. This is sometimes called a sandwich. If you click on that, then your whole course menu shows up right in this column. Okay. Whenever you use the student view inside of your course, you generate a test student. So along with being able to see the course through your student's eyes, and the gradebook through your student's eyes, you also have the ability to test things out, to try out submitting an assignment, and to come in here to the gradebook and also test things out for this test student. The test student's grade or anything you put in here doesn't apply toward the whole course average if you're tracking course averages. It's just there to help you see how things work. Right here along the top of the grid is your full set of menus. And so again, I encourage you in your own time to go through these different selections and to check things out, because we won't have time to go through everything that you'll find here in these drop downs. We're going to go through some of them. You also have a filter. So you're able to filter. We're going to go through this in order to see just certain parts of your gradebook at any one time. And you can also filter or search for students. So you can look at just one student if you have 50 or a good number of students. You can just put in a student's name here and look at that individual. And then this gear is where you find your policies, and we'll be spending quite a bit of time looking at this today. Okay, so I'm going to go into a live course now right here, and we're going to spend some time in here working with navigating and organizing and also the policies. Okay, so I want to just quickly go into assignments. So in addition to building your gradebook by building graded assignments, which includes graded discussions and also graded quizzes, which are called quizzes up here, but which are exams for all intents and purposes, quizzes and exams. Whenever any of these three items, your general assignment, your discussions, or quizzes, are set to be graded, then there is a corresponding gradebook column inside of the grades area where your gradebook is. Now, if you copy content over into the class, then you'll see this one group here at the top called assignments. This is the default that you get. Whenever you have a new course in Canvas, you'll always have this group called assignments. And everything in that group, if you don't have other groups, if you haven't created groups, all of the assignments fall into this group. And if you choose not to use groups, then everything will be worth a total of 100%. So I want you to keep that in mind, that this default column comes up no matter what, if you copy content from one course to another. And I often see this here, and I realize that people don't understand that they can get rid of this. So this group default called assignments can be deleted. So we'll go ahead and delete that. And now for the purposes of this workshop, I've created 4 groups: a homework group, an essays group, a discussions group, and an exams group. And so I want you to notice, first of all, the order from top to bottom: homework, essays, discussions, exams, and the order of assignments in each group: P1, P2, P3. Okay, just remember those. And let's go look at the gradebook. So keeping that in mind, you'll see in the gradebook that your individual assignment columns are in the same order from left to right as the individual assignments on your assignments summary page. So you've got P1, P2, P3, and over here in your groups, you've got homework, essays, discussions, exams. So the top to bottom order, take another quick peek, of your assignments page matches the left to right order in your gradebook. So that's the first thing to know. If we go to this view menu, you'll see here that you have arrange by, and the default order is already selected. So the default order, arrangement of columns from left to right, matches the assignments index page. You can change that order if you want to see things in a different order. So right now we've got P1 first. If I were to organize or arrange the assignments by the assignment name, alphanumeric, A to Z, then you see I've got A1, A2, and those P1, P2, P3 are further to the right. Okay, so that's one way. You can also arrange them Z to A. You can arrange them by the due date. oldest to newest, newest to oldest. You could arrange them by the point value, lowest to highest and highest to lowest. Or if you're using modules, you can arrange them by the first module to last or last to first. So this is just the order of columns that you're looking at. And you'll see, and I'm sure this is true for many faculty, that this would be a very small gradebook by comparison. You probably have a gradebook that has many more assignments, and so being able to arrange them may come in really handy for you if you need to see a group of things up front. Okay. Another thing that you can do to view and organize your content in different ways is to filter content. So you have a set of filters, and they're based on things that you've constructed in the course. Okay. You won't see a filter unless you're using that particular function. So in my case, I do have assignment groups. I have those 4 groups. And so because I have assignment groups, I also have an assignment groups filter. The same is true for modules. If I choose to use modules in the course, then I'm going to have a modules filter in the gradebook so that I can filter and just look at the assignments in module 1 or week 1, whatever I call my module. If you create student groups so that students can work together, then you'll have a student groups filter and you'll be able to filter out just the student group work in your gradebook. So this is very helpful if you have many, many assignments for being able to look at these different groups. Let's see how this works. If I go to the filter and select assignment group, I want you to see what happens up here in the gradebook. I'll select assignment groups, and now I get a details filter. This filter shows me the groups that I can look at. So I can look at an essays group, and now I see everything has gone away except the 2 essays, A1 and the A2 blog assignment. I can filter by exams, and now I'm just seeing the final exam and the midterm. So this can be very helpful for making that huge grid a little bit more manageable. Okay. Now you have to remember when you use filters that they toggle on and off. So if I were to keep this filter toggled on, just looking at my final and midterm, and I can't see any of my other assignments, and I close Canvas down, when I open this course up again, Canvas remembers that that filter is toggled. And so don't worry if you see something like this, you think your assignments might be gone, is to go here and see if you have that filter toggled on, and then you toggle that off and all of your assignments come back. All right, let's look at another one of these filters. We have modules. Okay, so I'm going to look at all of the modules I have, and I'll look at all of the assignments that I have in week 1. Okay, so now I'm just seeing these 3 assignments that are part of week 1. You can also use the arrange by with your filters. So if I wanted to arrange this Z to A, you see I've got P1, P2, P3. So I'll do alphanumeric Z to A, and it rearranges it P3, P2, P1. So you can use them together. It's just important to remember that when you're finished looking at that view, go ahead and toggle that off. I still have my arrange by Z to A. I'll go back in here and select default order. And now what I'm seeing is the arrangement that matches my assignments index page. Okay, so that's the viewing and organizing. One more quick thing. You'll also notice in your view area that you have a selection for unpublished columns. Now the default of this, actually, this is turned on. So when you first put in your assignments, if you come into your gradebook and you see this, that has an assignment with no dash, no ability to put anything in any of those cells, and it says unpublished, that just means that once this assignment is published, then this will be a normal part of the gradebook. So if I don't want to publish it right now, but I also don't want it taking up real estate, I'll just go here to the view menu and select toggle this off, and then that will go away. So you won't have to worry about that. Okay. So those are the big items in arranging your views and arranging your columns so that you have easier access, especially if you have a lot of assignments. Okay, now I want to get into the discussion of gradebook policies. And I'm going to start that discussion by showing you this menu and this item in the view menu called statuses. If we click on this gear, the purpose of this menu is actually just to allow you to change the color of these 5 statuses. When you're working in your course and certain things are happening, like students might be turning in work late, or there might be an assignment that's missing, or you might excuse an assignment. When you do these things inside of Canvas, the cell for that student and that assignment will be filled with one of these colors. And so the statuses that Canvas is keeping track of and filling in is for late. So if an assignment is late, then you'll see that color come in. If an assignment is missing, you'll see this light red color. If a student submits an assignment more than once, then you'll see this green indication of that. If you use dropped policy, it's not really a policy, but a feature inside of an assignment group. If you say to Canvas, I'd like to drop the 2 lowest scores from this whole group of homework assignments, Canvas will figure those out for you, drop those lowest scores, and then will also indicate that those scores have been dropped by putting this orangish color in the cell. And then if you excuse an assignment, this status indicator will show up in the cell for that assignment. So I just want to familiarize you with these statuses because this will come into play when we set up policies. Again, this menu just allows you to change these colors. So if you don't like this blue color, you can click and you can choose a different color. So that's what the menu is for. But what I want to introduce to you are the statuses themselves. So with that, let's go ahead and discuss the policies that are available to you. If you look over here on the right side, this gear, click on that gear and open up this menu. This is where you find some pre-made policies that you can set to help you, to have Canvas help you handle any assignment submissions that are missing and any assignment submissions that are late. That's the first tab. And the second tab of policies is about grade posting. We'll start with the first tab. And the reason that this is so important is because in the past, if a student didn't turn in an assignment, and let's say that it was an important assignment, maybe around midterm, a big paper was due and a student didn't turn it in, and you have a large class, and let's just say that that went unnoticed by you because of everything that was going on. And so you have many, many, many rows, many, many students, lots of grades. And then there's one little cell where there's this dash and the student didn't turn in the paper. And we don't know why, but it went unnoticed. And you come to the end of the term where we are now. If this grade never got filled in with the grade that it should be, if it's missing, which would be a 0, then this student's grade would be very much inflated. So let's do an example here. Let's say that even on the final exam, the student got 200 points. Okay, the student got a 200 on the exam, Frank. And so Frank has an A in the class. But at the last minute, you see that Frank did not do this other assignment. And so instead of this one being a 0, this one is a null value, this dash. When you go in, and you used to have to go in and manually turn this null value into a 0, okay? You can see that this has a dramatic effect on Frank's grade. And so doing that at the last minute, it's almost impossible for Frank to actually get that assignment done. Whereas if he had if it had been brought to his attention, and clearly he should have known, but if it had been brought to his attention when it was due, then Frank might have had a chance to do something about it before the very end. And so this was a real problem in Canvas before policies. Now what we have are these policies that we can set so that Canvas will do some of this management for us. So let's start with the missing policy. If you choose this, select it, then you can rest assured that if you're using due dates and if an assignment is never turned in, that Canvas will automatically set the grade for that assignment. Now, I'm not exactly sure why you have a lot of choices here. In higher ed, it really is a 0. If a student doesn't turn in a piece of work, they usually don't get like 20 or 30%. They usually get a 0. So you have to set that, make sure it's set. Now the policy is that if you set a due date and that paper was never turned in, the student will automatically get a 0. You can rest assured that if they are really concerned, that you will hear from them, because it's not only the gradebook that shows it, but it's the student's view of the gradebook. They understand they got a 0. They understand that they should do something about that. So that's the first policy. The second is a policy for a late assignment. So let's say that you have a policy in your syllabus and you want to go ahead and use this here as well. So you're going to have Canvas keep track for you and apply a deduction of a certain percent at a certain interval for a late assignment. So let's just pick a percent. Let's say that you're going to have a deduction of 5% per day for any assignment that's late. Okay, and you can pick a low number here, but I'm just going to leave this at 0 for right now. Okay, so if my policy is that I will accept, the due date for your assignment is today, and I will accept that assignment. Today's Tuesday. I'll accept that assignment until Friday. My policy is there will be a 5% per day deduction. So if they turn it in tomorrow and they get 100%, it's a 95. On Thursday, it'll be a 90. On Friday, if they get 100%, then the highest grade they could get would be an 85. Okay, that's with this policy in place. If they then still don't turn in the assignment by midnight on Friday, then at 12:01 Saturday morning, that assignment will get a 0 because it will be missing. Okay, so that's how they work together. And now I'm going to show you that. There's how you set the policy. We'll update it. And then we'll go in here and I'll go ahead and arrange by assignment name. Let's work with assignment A1 in this column right here. Okay, so assignment A1, open up that assignment. I'm going to edit it. This assignment is due today, May 4th. Let's just say that we make this assignment due yesterday. Okay, on the 3rd. Go ahead and save it. Go back to the gradebook. Okay, now you see both the late and the missing policy in effect here. Frank and Gail did not turn in their assignments at all. It was due yesterday by midnight last night, and they automatically got a 0. And the gradebook applied that, also put in those status warnings for you so that you can see it easily. Both Connie and James turned in their assignment today, but it was due yesterday. Okay. So we'll go ahead and grade Connie's assignment. Let's say that she did a great job, got 100%. Canvas automatically calculated that to be a 95. So those are the latent missing policies in effect. What's really important about this is that you have to use, go back to the assignment itself, in order for late and missing policies to work, you have to set a due date, and you also have to set the until date. So the assignment is due on the 3rd, and you'll accept it until midnight tonight. After midnight tonight, if your students don't turn it in, then it will be missing. These 2 dates have to be set in order for those policies to work. Now, it's important to remember that when you set late and missing policies, this will apply to all of the assignments in the gradebook. You can't apply it to just 1 or 2. It's applied to all of them. And of course, this late in the term, you wouldn't want to apply these now. This is something you would really want to set up at the very beginning of the term. Okay. Now let's talk about the grade posting policy. Grade posting is the same thing as saying, when I put a grade into the gradebook, by default inside of Canvas, that grade immediately goes to the student record. When I say student record, I just mean the student's gradebook. So their view of the gradebook, they can see when you have posted a grade almost immediately. All right. And some of them probably even have set up notifications so that they're alerted. So it's not only that it'll show up in their gradebook, but they'll get a little text message that says, I just got a grade. Okay. And for the most part, this hasn't been a problem. I mean, Canvas has had the automatic posting of grades set up for many, many years. It's just been in the past year or so that we now can choose whether or not we want Canvas to post those grades automatically, or do we want to be able to post them manually ourselves when we decide to post them. This is particularly important if you're grading a stack of exams. So if you have, 50 papers that you have to read through, and you start reading and you're in a great mood and you're chugging along and it gets long, you start to get tired, chances are very good that you're going to feel different by the time you get to that 50th paper than you felt when you just started. And so it's often the case, especially when you're grading work like that, project work or written work, that you actually need a little bit of time to think about the overall grade, the overall set of grades. And so in the past, you were able to mute the assignment. That's no longer available, because what you have now is the ability to say, I'm going to post the grades when I'm ready to post them. And so if you select the manually post your grades right here in your grade posting policy, then Canvas is telling you with all of this text, which I encourage you to read carefully. What Canvas is saying is that it's not just the grade, it's also the comments. And there are some other things that get held back from students until you post those grades. Okay. You can set up this manually posting here. And what happens now is that all of the assignments are set for you to post manually. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. If I update this, you'll see appended to each of the assignments' names in the gradebook is the word manual. And Canvas is telling you that you have to manually post these grades. Students will not see them until you post them. Okay, so let's look at how this works. We'll look at A2 assignment. I'm going to go ahead and grade this, and I put in a 100. Manually enter it, and you saw this little eyeball appear up here in the top left corner of the column. This is called the visibility icon, and what's telling you is that it's invisible to your students. Okay, so I can go ahead and post all of these grades. All right, I'm just going along, and I know that the grades are invisible. And I also know, if you look at the menu over here on this assignment right next to it, if you look at this menu, you'll see that all grades are posted. Okay, so there's nothing to post here, but over here on the A2 assignment, if I click on this, you'll see that you have grades to post. So let's say I'm halfway through and I feel confident about these grades and I want the students to have them. So I'm going to go ahead and post these grades. All right, it's telling me when I say to post which ones it's going to post with this orange dot. I also see that there are 2 grades here that students can't see. And I have the choice now to post the grades to everyone or to post only those that I've graded so far. So I'm going to post only to those that are graded. And I post them. Watch over here, the 2 dots go away and the visibility icon also goes away. So I've posted those grades. These students can see these grades now. So I go in and I do some more grading. Okay. And the icon comes back. All right. And so let's say that I've done all but one assignment. I'm going to go ahead and post the grades. Go to my menu again, just the same way I did before. Go to post grades. I see the ones that I have to post, they're indicated. And now I'm going to go ahead and post to everyone because I really only have one assignment left. So I'll just go ahead and post to everyone. The icon goes away, the indicator goes away. All right. And now maybe it's late or it's been a little while before I've been able to get back to it. I finally do this final grade, enter it. Notice no icon showed up here. And that's because I posted the grades to everyone the last time. So even though this word manual didn't go away when I did that, I really took the policy off on that last step when I posted to everyone. So let me demonstrate another one here. So let's say I've done half of them. All right. I see that I have grades to post. I have the menu item. I'll go ahead and post it. I'm still grading, so I'll just do graded. Post that. I come back and I do some more grading. All right. And I see that I have these grades to post. Some of the students still aren't seeing their grades. I'll go in and post. And now since I'm almost finished, I'll post to everyone. Now, when I do this, click on post, the icon goes away. Manual is still there. Still says that it's manual, but it's actually not anymore because since I posted to everyone, when I put in any other grades at a later date, Canvas is going to automatically post those. Okay, so in essence, it removes the policy. Okay, so keep in mind, when you set up the grade posting policy here, it applies to all grades, all assignments rather. The problem with that for some people is that they have assignments that they would like Canvas to post for them, like a quiz, for example. If you have a quiz that's automatically graded and you have a grade posting policy, then you're going to have to post those quiz grades. And maybe you don't want that. So you might not want to apply this grade posting policy to every single assignment. So let me show you, unlike the late and missing policies, with the grade posting policies, you can go ahead and leave this on default. I'll update that. Now there are no policies for any of the assignments, but you still like the idea of having a grade posting policy because the initial problem is still the same. I need to read through some essays. I need some time before I post these grades. So you can, for the grade posting policy, set an individual assignment grade posting policy. At the bottom of each one of these menus, you can set this so that you can use the grade posting policy. And when you do that, it's exactly the same. The default is automatic, but you can set it to manual. It keeps the same things back until you post. And so I'm going to save that. And now you have this policy in effect for just this assignment. And it works in exactly the same way. So when I put the grades in, I will see that the grade is invisible. I'll be able to go to post grades. I already had this one grade in there, so the student already saw that grade, but this one was hidden. I can choose to post it, just to grade it, or to everyone. I'll do graded. There it is. And now when I go in and do my other grading, I have the policy. It works in exactly the same way. I need to post it. I'll go in here to post. And eventually I might decide I'm just going to post to everyone now. I'll go ahead and post. This one goes out. And then when I fill in this last one, that one will also just go out. So that's how the manual posting works on an individual basis. Now, the one last thing about the grade posting policies that comes along with the grade posting policies is the ability to hide grades. Hiding grades is not like muting grades, and hiding grades, this option right here, is also not like the grade posting policy. In order to hide grades, students have to have already seen grades. You have to post grades before you can hide them. And so this is not the ideal tool to use if you want to mute assignments. And we do get quite a few support requests asking us why, if I have hidden grades, are students talking about having seen their grades? My guess is probably because they saw them before hiding grades was selected. So please don't confuse the two because they don't really function in the same way. Hiding grades would be when maybe you had a question about the exam and you wanted to re-examine all of the grades. You would go in and hide those grades. The same things are hidden that are hidden when you put a policy in effect. So it looks a lot like the grade posting policy. We're going to go ahead and hide them. And you still see the invisibility icon. And in order for students to see these grades again, you would then also have to post them. But please understand that if you haven't posted any grades, you can't hide them before you start grading because there are no grades to hide. So it's different from the policy, the grade posting policy, even though it uses some of the same functions and features of grade posting. So I've hidden these grades, and in order for students to see them again, I must post them, and I'll post them to everyone. Okay, so that's hiding grades. It's a little bit different. Okay, so now I want to show you a little bit about what your students are seeing when it comes to grades and grading. I told you about the test student when we first got started. And if you use the test student, then you see generally what does a general student see. You don't see what a specific student sees. And a test student's not a real student. And so when it comes to what your students see for grades, what you want to do is come over here to your list of students and click on your student's name. When you click on your student's name, you get the student's context card. And this card shows you a quick overview of how the student is doing in context of the class. You can also see the student's grades. If you click on grades right here, this is your student's view of the gradebook. So it's not a grid, it's a chart. And if you ever want to see what your students are seeing, then go ahead and click on their name, click on grades so you can see. They see the statuses if an assignment was late. If they click on this check here, then they can see the details of that. You know, that they got a 100, but there was a 5% penalty, and so their final grade was a 95. They also see some analytics of how they're doing in the class. This is also where they would access feedback, which we strongly encourage as a great way to engage your students. There would be some icons here for feedback, so they'd be able to click and see, you know, things that you said to them about any particular assignment. So you can see almost everything that your students see. Their grade book, and then we'll go back one more, and you can see by clicking on their name, this context card. One other thing that I didn't get a chance to go into as much as I should have and will now is the detail of an individual assignment. So let's look at let's actually look at Frank's individual details of this assignment that he missed and that he has a 0 on. If you click on this little box with the arrow, this opens up a grade details card for Frank. So it's not his context card, that's the context card, but on this particular assignment, there's a details card. And let's say that Frank came to you and that he had a COVID incident, something happened that really interfered with his ability to do this assignment. And so you've decided, because you always have control over these things when it comes to policies, you are always the final say on what's going to happen. This grade is 0. You could say, Frank, I'm going to excuse you for this assignment. Click on excuse, and then Frank will be excused from this assignment. Okay. Let's say that Gail brought you the assignment, and instead of it being missing, let's say she did a fantastic job on it, but she was late. Let's say she was 4 days late. That would have given her a 100. You gave her 100 rather, but it was 4 days late. Okay. And so if we leave that to Canvas to figure out, that's a 20% penalty. And so you have control over this. You can put in here what's true. And you could also leave a comment that says, thank you for talking to me. You did a nice job on the assignment. So we'll make it 4 days late. Again, you have total control. You could also just say none and leave Gail with a 100. So however you want to do it, the policies are there just to help you. So again, student view and also assignment view. One last thing has to do with student analytics. And so if we go back into Connie's, you see this part right here that says new analytics. If you click on this, then you're going to see the current analytics for just Connie Candelaria. I want you to see that in this course, it can be very, very useful to you to tell you her activity. You're not really seeing here what you would see in your class because this isn't a real class with a real student doing real work. So this doesn't give you a good view of analytics. I do want you to see, however, that where they are on the home page and also in the gradebook where I just showed you. This is the whole course analytics right here to the right on the home page. It says new analytics. These are the same sets of analytics. You have activity in the course measured by page views and actual participation, like contributing to a discussion or submitting an assignment. You have these submissions, whether they were late, on time, or missing. You have the grades tracked as you go through the course, and then you have a student breakdown. You can also get this as a CSV file, or this is a chart actually, but you can download, you should be able to download a CSV file. So these are basic course analytics as compared to the individual student analytics that I just showed you. So I have one course where I actually have some participation. So you have a little bit more of a graphic view here of the weekly activity online. You have the individual students, and you can click here to get the individual students activity. So this is their grade, percent on time, last participation. There's quite a bit of information available to you here. And then you can also print out reports, run reports rather. These are CSV file reports. But do keep in mind that when you're in the gradebook and you click on your student's name, you can access the individual student's analytics right here. I'm not going to click on it, but I want you to see that. All right, so I've covered all of the basic areas that I wanted to show you today, and I really appreciate you all coming and taking time to look into gradebook management and some of the different options that you have to make your lives easier when you're dealing with the gradebook. And I hope that you will return and attend some of our other workshops or view some of our other workshops on our ID On Demand site. We really appreciate you and wish you all the best.